So Ruru, as everyone lovingly calls it. Uh, Spaz, you want to take us through this one?
Oh, absolutely. Right. So Peru has got two Google cars, the black car without antenna and the white car without antenna. The phone numbers always start with 9. Right. The road signs oftentimes have this black and white pattern that can be found in many different countries, but at least in South America, this is the only country that uses kind of this pattern. So this is very useful if you don't know what country it is. It will always be Peru. That is the bollard, the white and yellow bollard. The license plates in Peru are usually white, although in some major cities you can see yellow license plates, so you gotta watch out for that. And yeah, I think Peru is one of the hardest countries just because it's so inconsistent landscape wise. You can never tell if you're in northern or southern Peru. So you usually just go by the architecture and car and sign and whatnot.
Yeah, and Peru also has another bollard that's not on the chart. It's a small white stone bollard with the letters PE for Peru on top and either the road number or the kilometer of the road.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. Yeah, and I think with the license plates, I mean, license plates are they ever worth kind of counting on? I mean, are they usually blurred in Peru, or what's going on with those?
Right, yeah. In Peru, license plates are usually blurred. Most times they're white. So these plates right here, they're all commercial plates. I've seen in Lima, I've seen actually quite a few yellow plates, but usually they're just regular blurred white plates.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say, 'cause obviously not quite as simple as say Colombia, for example, but this a little bit more difficult to learn. But yeah, obviously there's going to be guesses where that does come into play, and if you do know it, it's going to be handy. We do have some earthquake circle meta. I didn't. I think the earthquake circle meta is definitely for the advanced episode. We'll run into it at some point, but let's have a look at a couple of locations and a couple of sort of shots from Peru. So, really interesting one to start with, I think, which always throws me off, is the tuk tuks. Does anyone know why? Do you guys know why there's so many tuk tuks there?
I have
No
no
idea.
idea.
Yeah, no idea,
Uh,
honestly.
I have
It's
no
just
clue
there.
why they were introduced to Peru. Although this location is actually quite tricky because the car you can see the black part of it, which is usually very uncommon.
Yeah, it's usually that's associated more with Chile, right?
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
But yeah,
I mean, Peru, just the tuk-tuks are very telltale sign it's Peru. Most of the times, if you're in Latin America and you've got tuk-tuks, it's usually Peru. The poles in Peru are also very specific. As you can see, they're very chunky and geometric.
would you say would you use the word thick?
Yes, very thick.
Okay.
Also, quite like Argentinian poles, but the place is obviously way more run down. So it's not that hard to tell if you're in Peru or not.
Yeah, Peru has a lot of brick buildings as well. They're like a brown brick usually. I feel like the Colombian brick is a bit redder, while the Peruvian brick is a little more brown.
Yes, except when you get far down south towards the Titicaca Lake region, where the landscape and the buildings blend into Bolivia.
Yeah.
But then we have other matters like the sign poles and
Yeah.
the bollards and stuff like that. But in general, in a city, it should be quite distinctive.
Yeah, and then we're obviously just at a fruit counter here. Got pineapples, I think, mangoes, bananas, and melons as well. So let's
Also,
take it.
what I've seen in Peru that's done more in Peru than in other countries
Mm.
is that they love to hang out the Peruvian flag out of the windows.
Interesting. Okay, so quite the word has escaped me. Proud of their country. We'll go with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, here's more brown houses. This is in Lima. I feel like Lima has a lot of gray, like cloudy coverage, and I
Okay.
usually associate that with Lima. And it's like this like dusty feel with brown
I'd rather
mountains.
say smog view.
Smog, yes, yes.
Interesting.
Uh,
This
y-
is
here you can see lots of these very long, thin houses. Usually, just the front is painted and like the sides of the house not painted. That's very common in Peru.
okay.
Yeah.
This is quite fascinating. I don't know if I'm using the term correctly, but this feels like kind of more like a slum type area on the hill, right? With a kind of the same sort of similar looking houses across. And is that quite particular to this area, or is this something else you're going to come across in other parts of Peru?
Yeah, there's a
Honestly, I
lot of
think
slums in Lima, especially. I feel like
yeah,
in other cities maybe not as much, like Cusco or I don't know, Ayacucho, you won't see it quite as much
Hmm.
as in Lima. In Lima, it's like a lot of slums.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I've read that somewhere because they don't paint their houses, they just leave it with bricks, so they don't have to pay some kind of tax.
Ah, interesting. Okay,
So the poorer the area is, the more brick buildings you see.
yeah.
fascinating.
I
That
mean,
makes sense.
honestly, I've seen this kind of building throughout the entire country. So
Okay,
I mean, yeah, you can see there's a big city. So
yeah. And then we've got another location here, which is going to be our last one for Peru, which is Cusco, I believe. Yeah. Anything in particular about this? I mean, we've got
Well,
obviously
you
again
see
this.
Cusco is more southern, so you see more reddish brick that blends in into Bolivian brick.
Yeah.
You see the
Also, on the
chunky brick
mountain,
poles. Yeah.
on the mountain, you see the terrace farming. A lot of Peru has terrace farming on the mountains. It's pretty common to see that.
Okay, that's interesting. And yeah, a lot of this kind of exposed brickwork again, in a slightly different fashion though this time around. Not
Yeah,
quite as
because
brown.
this is more colonial style architecture, I would
Is that a
say. Not
fucking
exactly
sheep?
colonial,
Is that
but
a sheep?
yeah.
Oh my! I need to save this location for farmyard speedrun. I've never seen. This is amazing. Oh my god! And it's got its own chair and everything. Incredible. Right. Well, Peru's gone up in my estimates. Put it that way. Okay. Cool. And then yeah, that's the last location we wanted to review of Peru. Um, difficult country. Difficult country. Can we ask some questions, please? No, because we'll be here all night. But hopefully, when we go through some locations later on, if you've got questions, they'll be answered then, and maybe we can have a look over them. But we don't want to get caught up too long on each area because we're only on to Bolivia, and there's plenty more to come. So let's move on. If you've got any questions, though, feel free to ask them in the Discord as well. We're all about in the Discord, and we're more than happy to respond to any questions in there. So just make sure you're asking them um, in the right channel, and also the guys are in the chat as well. And if they can answer you here and now, they certainly will.